Hello world, welcome to the Surge Show, a podcast brought to you by the one and only Surge Clothing. Make sure to go shop at www.surgeclothing.shop for any and all of your clothing needs. And today on the Surge Show, we have the one and only 8-6.
Yo, what's good?
Alright, so 8-6 is a producer, and we're going to be talking about his producing adventures today. So, 8-6, how did you start getting into producing?
Damn, that's a good question. I don't even know. It's kind of like an accident. I was into video editing and shit like that, like graphics to start. And then my boy D. Reed was telling me about you want to go to school to become a music producer around like middle school. I'm like, fuck it, I'll see what that shit's about. So then I downloaded FL Studio and just started fucking around and got good at it, I guess, stuck with it.
Yeah, I just started going from there.
Yeah, I was just messing around with that shit, like wasn't really trying. And then like, I'd say junior years when I started copping my recording shit, just having kids pull up to my crib, making a little money on the side, and just kind of started getting bigger and bigger from there.
So when did you start like charging for your work?
I waited till like I had a little bit of an idea to what I was doing. Like I started recording with Mr. Uspa, who's now Jersey Jacob, but yeah, I started recording with him a lot first, and then after that I started charging kids like once I got an idea.
Get some feet under you.
Facts.
Yeah. So were you always into music and the beats behind it?
I was always into music, but like never really making it. Like my family members were. My great uncle had a tape machine and recorded his own music.
Oh yeah.
My uncles play guitar. My dad, my brother, all of them, but not me.
That's pretty cool. So it's in your blood.
I hope. Yeah.
Yeah. That's good. So explain to me what you do now with recording.
What I do now, right now I have an internship at a recording studio in Scranton, Platinum Sound. I do work for like the clients, recording. I'll sit in, make some sessions, help like mixing and mastering, learning, just helping out around the studio, shit like that.
That's pretty cool. So when did you start getting into it? Like
definitely middle school.
Middle school?
Middle school is like when I started like fucking around with it, and then junior year of high school is like when I'm like, all right, I'm gonna actually do this shit.
Yeah. Is that when you started with Mr. Uspa?
Yeah, junior year.
That's pretty cool.
Yep.
So what was your childhood dream job? Was it something in music?
Damn,
Or
definitely not. Like,
was it like some music, or was it some like firefighter or astronaut?
definitely firefighter. Like when I was mad young, like 5, definitely firefighter, but I don't know.
So why aren't you a firefighter now?
Fuck that shit, man.
Fuck that shit.
Hell yeah.
Damn. Yeah.
Way too stressful for me.
That happens to a lot of people, I think.
That takes a strong person to do that shit.
Yeah. So, yeah, no plans on becoming a firefighter anytime soon.
Hell no, I'm sticking with this music shit.
So, do you have any inspirations, like people, or what inspires you?
Like producers, like, or like just someone in particular?
Both, yeah.
Like for recording, I could just do that shit whenever. Like that's why I like the engineering aspect of music. Like I really don't need inspiration. Like I could just hop in the studio and press record. And then for producing, like recently, I've just been relying on, like in the past years, I rely on like a burst of creativity or inspiration. But like recently I've been trying to get in like a daily routine, like trying to wake up a certain time, like shit like that. like cook up in the morning when I'm creative.
That's good.
Or at the studio whenever I have time.
Yeah, fresh ideas in the morning.
Hell yeah.
So do you want to continue producing like as a full-time gig?
I want to become an audio engineer as like my full-time gig. Eventually open up my own room at Platinum Sound. And then I want like producing to be like my passion. Like I don't want that to be my main source of income. You know what I mean? Like I don't want to like pimp myself out on BeatStars for like $25 beat leases and shit like that.
Yeah.
Like I'd rather be more selective with who I work with and like make quality music as far as like the production goes. But for engineering, like that's fair game.
So what's the difference between engineering and producing?
Well, like producing, like in rap, they kind of misconstrue producing. Like beat makers call themselves producers, but like in any other genre of music, the producer is like taking control of like the creative aspect of the song. So like the arrangement, the breakdown, like all of that stuff. But in rap, the producer will most likely make the beat. Like you see the production credits in the name of the song. It's the kid that made the beat, and he'll like usually arrange it, do the drops and shit. And like at a local level, like the producer that does like all the creative stuff is just going to be the recording artist. But like once you start like working at like real studios and getting involved in the industry, there's going to be like a kid making the beats and then a producer controlling the creative shit. And then if you're signed to a label, you're gonna have an A&R there taking control to make sure like the label gets what they want as well as the artist. So it can get kind of political, but
Yeah, there's a lot behind it.
yeah, there's a lot that goes into that shit.
So what do you use software wise?
I started off on FL Studio, was messing around with that for a little while, got rid of it, and then I got Ableton Live 9, and then I copped Ableton Live 10, but like I could use FL or Ableton pretty well. I know them both, but I'll use anything that anyone has on a computer.
Mm-hmm.
But
So
my
you just
preferred
get-
choice is definitely FL and Ableton.
Yeah. So you just
Yeah.
get the extensions online and
Yeah.
the beats or whatever.
hmm
So I remember a while back you were saying you were selling like beat packages or
Oh yeah,
something.
like a pack for beats. Like yeah, like back then I was like doing deals and shit like that. Like I would like cook up like a pack of 5 or something like that and like work with people's budgets and things like that to make money off the beats. But when I started like trying to make money off that shit, that's like when it kind of like I lost like interest in it almost. Like it wasn't fun. Like if you
Get
do it
almost
for like the
forced.
right reasons, like the money's gonna come naturally. Definitely don't try like and get the bag. Like fuck it, I'm gonna start producing or rapping for money because you're not
Yeah.
gonna make any money doing that.
That's a great point. It's like a YouTuber starting.
Yeah,
to,
like when I started,
yo,
like
I'm
I
gonna make
wasn't
so much
charging
money.
anyone and like I was just doing it for fun and having fun with it, like with recording and engineering. I'm like, all right, well now I could start making money and like that's when it was like, all right, fuck it, I'm just gonna go back to doing it for fun.
Yeah, that's the best when you could do your passion and make
Yeah,
money at
and
the
then
same
that's when I
time.
decided to like the engineering and recording is gonna be like my actual career, like my day to day, my job, and then the producing is gonna continue to be my passion.
Hmm. So are you inspired by any other big time producers? Like,
I fuck with a lot of underground producers and rappers and shit like that. Like I like Kenny Beats. Most recently, Jetson Made produced a lot for DaBaby, and I'm trying to think. 808 Mafia for sure, definitely my biggest inspiration. Like Southside, TM88, all of them.
nice. So, what are your opinions on college? Because I know you're saying you were in college, but thinking of dropping out.
I feel like it all depends on your situation. Like I think college is good. Like I say fuck college, but that's just for me in my situation. Like it could be different. Like I said, it's all situation. But for me, like going to school for recording, I already knew a decent amount. Like not saying I know it all because I feel like I don't know anything still because there's so much to it. But
Mhm.
that was like really only good for the basics. I was learning way more at my internship at Scranton. So, and I go there for free. Like I don't pay to learn all that shit. So why go to college and pay when I could just learn a lot more for free?
Mhm.
All I have to pay for
Absolutely.
is the gas up to Scranton
Yeah.
and the food, and that's it.
So, what's the difference between like a home beat pad and like the massive studio? Like, what do all those buttons do?
That's a rough one. A recording,
Everything.
yeah, everything. There's different types of studios too. Like you might have one that's like made for tracking. Like you'll see like the big like recording console in front of it, and that's more for like rock and roll, like guitar music type shit.
Mhm.
And like more expensive studios will have those for mixing, but that's kind of rare. That's like record label studios. More recently, what's becoming more popular is like the home studio setup, like something like this with like a small interface and a decent mic and just getting like a good recording, like right off rip,
Mhm.
and then sending it out to those big studios to get them mixed and mastered for like a lower rate rather than doing it all yourself.
Some bangers have been recorded in home
Like basically
studios.
like if you look at an audio interface online, it has like the preamp, like the converters to convert like the analog audio to digital and all that other stuff. In a real recording studio, like they don't use any of that. Like the interfaces are more for like the consumer, and then they get more and more like expensive, and that hits like the prosumer category, and then you get to like the professional studio shit. And that's when you're spending like $3,000 on just something to plug like all of your equipment into and then in the computer. So like the preamps are going to be external. You'll have compressors, like instead of using VST plugins and shit like that, like all of it's in the hardware, like in the real world.
Okay.
So yeah.
So, does your studio just mainly do rappers or?
Yeah, like our niche is rap, but we've done everything. Like we've had a lady from like Thailand, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it was Thailand, like come and record like in Thai, like completely
Oh,
Thai.
shit.
Like I've recorded like multiple sessions in languages I don't even speak. It's pretty crazy.
You're just like,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
that
hard to
sounds cool.
communicate. You're just kind of like pointing at the screen and like, yeah, this, that, and then you're like, good, all right, bet.
Yeah, just play it back and
Yeah,
if they
and
say
yeah,
okay.
if they're like, just shake your head and they're like, yeah, that's good. I'm like, all right, bet.
Yeah, that's how you got.
But yeah, mainly for like our studio, it's mainly rap.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's really what's going on.
Yeah,
these
big
days.
genre right now.
Nobody's really, not a lot of people are making like new rock and roll songs.
Yeah, I mean, our studio is like, we only have a vocal booth, but it's a really good mix down room. So like I was saying earlier, how like kids will like record that shit at their crib and then send it out to a studio. Like our studio is perfect for that. Like we have all the outboard gear, like like we have. I'm not gonna go like too crazy because I could talk about that shit for hours, but yeah.
Yeah, you get a lot of people like sending in, like you're saying,
Um,
studios or.
Only bigger artists really. Like I was sitting in on one session with the head engineer, and the producer was 88 Keys, and he was signed to Kanye. He's signed to Kanye's label, Good Music. Like he has shit out with Kanye, and we were on the phone with him. Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
You know T minus?
Yeah.
He's pretty cool.
Yeah, I fuck with T minus for sure.
Me too. So where did the name 86 come from?
Aside from music, another thing I fuck with heavy is cars, like drift cars and shit like that. And my favorite is probably the Toyota AE86. So that's where I got the name. Okay. I just want to keep it like simple, nothing cringy or like extra, anything like that. So I'm like, fuck it, a number, can't go wrong there.
Yeah. I like so like the tag is like 86 on the beat.
Yeah.
I like it. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to come up with a new one because I just like paid some random girl like $20 online to say that shit, like a producer tag website or something like that.
I would have thought it was like Siri or something.
Oh,
like some voice, just something.
But yeah, now I'm trying to get like an official one, like see if I can get like a rapper to do that shit, like really start working on my brand and start taking myself more seriously with this shit. Yeah.
86 on the beat.
86 on the beat.
Yeah. All right, so Zach, talk to me a little bit about rappers and the way they stream their music and producers and whatnot.
All right, so back in the day, you had to go through a record label, like before social media and before studio equipment was more affordable. And kids would sign like way back in the day, like the 50s and like prior to that. And like up into like I don't even know, like back then. But kids would sign to a label because the studio equipment was super expensive and you needed a record deal because the labels own the studios. But nowadays with social media and like what's the word I'm looking for? Like publishing companies like DistroKid and shit like that, like you can just become independent and upload your music to streaming services through that.
That's what gets
like you don't need to sign a distro deal through a record label. You could do it all on your own.
Yeah, that gets right. That gets to like Apple Music and stuff like that.
Yeah, like, and before you upload any music to your streaming services like Tidal, Spotify, SoundCloud, all that stuff, you're going to set up like two accounts, one called BMI and the other called ASCAP. And it's kind of like a gray area. It's kind of confusing. I'm still learning it myself, but they're basically the companies you want to go to sign up to get your royalties from streaming. So like for example, let's say I produce a beat, but I don't sell it to a kid, but we sign a contract like called like a split sheet. And on the split sheet will be like everyone who contributed to the song and what percentage they're getting. And then you would get that money through like BMI and ASCAP, and you'd collect your royalties that way.
So they split it up and
so like for example, like Old Town Road, like the kid bought like what's his name, Lil Nas X bought it from a producer on BeatStars for like $30 or $25 or some shit. Oh yeah. So like once that song like started getting some traction, I'm sure like somewhere down the road, they made a split sheet and the producer was able to like eat off that. Like it wasn't like, all right, fuck you, I got this for $30, because like he bought it through BeatStars, and on BeatStars there's certain terms and conditions when you lease a beat. So like you'll see like one beat, but there'll be like 5 different prices for that. Like there'll be leases which say you can sell up to 3,000 copies or stream a certain amount of copies with this lease, and then once you hit that number you have to buy another one. Or there could be something called like a track out lease, where rather than you just get like an MP3 or a WAV with like one audio file with the beat on it, you get like all the individual audio files and you can mix it yourself, or you can outright buy the exclusive rights from the producer, which could be kind of shitty for the producer depending on how much he's selling exclusives for. Like for example, 808 Mafia, I remember seeing somewhere online like Southside makes like 30 bands through exclusive rights, but I'm sure it's like a lot more now. But exclusive rights are becoming more and more rare, and especially like once you like get higher up on the food chain in terms like of production and like who you're working with and streaming numbers, and that's like when you get into the split sheets and things like that.
So if you buy like a beat off that website for like $30, there might be
there's like an underlying you have to check it out and read the contracts, because like kids will just like when they come to record, they'll just go on YouTube and see like free like whatever type beat. But if you read the description, it's like free download to use, like to actually use this purchase here. So like you could get in trouble for that, but like if you get racking in like 300 plays on SoundCloud, no one's gonna give a shit.
Yeah. Yeah. So if something blew up, then
But
they
yeah,
start collecting.
yeah, they'll start collecting. You'll get a letter or something.
Yeah.
You can get lawyers involved. Yeah, I can get hairy.
So, what goes behind your beat making process?
To start, I always start off with a chord progression. Like like talking like in music, I start with an 8-bar loop because I produce my beats in double time. So like it's a little bit faster and upbeat because I mainly produce trap. So I'll start off with a chord progression, like whether it's 4 bars, and then I'll duplicate the 4 chords and make like have 8 chords and then change up the variation. Then from the chord progression, I'll take the root notes and make that my bass line. But I don't like to use the same exact root notes of the chord progression a lot of the time. I'll add like accent notes and a separate kick drum from my bass or like my 808 samples and add some variation to keep it interesting to the listener.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, I'll add a top melody and pull up a different sound and like use the chord progression as my backing for the top melody. And I'll bump that up an octave from what the chords are. And that's like the basics of it. And then I'll start structuring it out from there.
Yeah. You just kind of layer.
Yeah, I start layering everything. I start with the melodic stuff first. Like I said, the chords, and then usually like the 808 or the melody or the lead. And then I'll go through and add the drums.
808's like the bass, right?
Yeah, like the sub.
Okay. Yeah, that's pretty cool. So, talk to me about like selling beats and more on like BeatStars like that.
All right, so if you're a producer looking to make money, the best way to go about it is probably like a service like BeatStars or Airbit or TrackChain where you upload the beat to there. They have like free account options which are kind of shitty because like they'll take like a small percentage or you won't be able to like use all the features of the website, of course. But if you're really making money off it, it's worth the investment to pay like $30 a month to make like well over $1,000. Like there's kids like living in mansions now from YouTube type beats, like internet money, shit like that. Like they're living good. That's in the hills. Cool. Yeah.
So how do you license a beat?
Like the first thing, like when you make a beat and you're trying to sell it or like send it out to an artist, or like even if you're trying to collab, like sending someone out like a melody or something like that as a producer, the first thing you should always do is go like on copyright.gov and copyright your beats. Like right off the rip, you should copyright everything you do.
You could copyright it.
Yeah, you can copyright it. And then from there, I would upload it to like a beat selling platform. Or if like you're big enough, like I said, like most big producers, they're not going to have like a TrackChain or a BeatStars. They'll have like managers. They might be signed, and that's when the contracts come in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yeah, you wouldn't just make a beat and not.
Yeah, copyright it is the first thing you should definitely do.
Yeah, kind of like trademarking.
Because in that way, like you don't have to get in a battle later on for like the masters. Like for example, Look at Me, the kid that produced that is Jimmy Duvall, I think, and now he's suing the estate of X. Not like he's not coming at his family per se, but he's just suing for his right to the masters so he can make like what he deserved from that song.
Yeah.
Because he got like the short end of the stick. Like, yeah.
He's entitled to.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's a situation where if they would have just right off the rip either like copyrighted it or broke out the split sheet, that easily could have been avoided. But things like that happen a lot where people don't really sign a deal, like sign that contract or pay attention to make sure like they're doing things right, and then they get in a shitty situation later on down the road and it gets ugly.
Yeah, probably not always thinking of it because
you gotta think of the like ahead, like the long term. Like even if you are just gonna sell beats forever, like for $25 and it's not gonna go anywhere, you gotta say like, all right, what if it does? Because like look at Old Town Road, like no one expected that shit to happen. Like there's hella articles out there on how it was like it cost like under $200 to make that song.
Really?
And now it's like the most popular song in the world.
So that was just a beat off
BeatStars, yeah, exactly. Really? For $30, yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, for real.
Getting the commission though?
Yeah, I'm sure they worked something out with the producer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because like with a $30 lease, like, and it's the most popular song in the world, and I'm sure he probably like did the right steps and copywritten it or something like that, or whatever the copyright. I don't know the right fucking word, but
yeah, you got to do it.
Yeah.
For that. So Zach, what is some new stuff that you would like to see from Surge Clothing?
Ooh, Surge Clothing. Bags.
Bags?
Bags for
That's
sure.
That's a good one.
I fuck with hats OD. I fuck with hoodies a lot.
Yeah, I'm doing like hats.
Word.
Like trucker hats.
Word, yeah.
Like the regular front and then like the mesh back. I like those. They're gonna be fire.
Yeah, I fuck with the bag idea though. Like the new shit's like the fanny pack around the shoulder and shit like that. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Something like that.
I want bags. I'd have to get them like good quality. I want to know
Yeah, you
any
can't cheap out and shit like that. Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Hell yeah.
All right, Zach. So we're coming to the end of the interview. Anything else you would like to share with the audience?
I don't know, nothing off the top of my head.
All right, so we're gonna do the annual signing of the shirt. Would you like to sign the front or the back side?
Oh, we'll go with the front.
Alrighty. Eight six going for the front side. Yeah, it's kind of tough to write on there. All right, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of The Surge Show. Make sure you go check out 86's work. I'm going to leave a couple links in the description.
Word for sure. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me on this.
Absolutely, anytime. So make sure to go shop at www.surgeclothing.shop. You know, get some fresh beanies or shirts, whatnot. Peace.
Peace, yo.